Oh, hello there. Don't mind me. I was just reading the blurb of this obnoxiously large book. My name is Seundunes, and we're at what is perhaps my favourite time of the year. New Year's. Wait, does that just mean everything goes downhill from here?
喜べ少年
Or it means we always end on a high. 2021 has seen Fate's Grand Order's worldwide server meet a whole new cast of characters, with some of the most fascinating servants we've seen yet. Here are my personal top 10 servants of 2021. Just a brief note, this is a very personal list. As a result, it isn't necessarily the 10 best servants released this year, rather my favourite through a combination of them being effective, but also just damn fun. I'll begin by saying there were a few servants that I felt I simply hadn't used enough to put on this list, but feel that if I had done, they might have made it. And now, before we begin, some brief honourable mentions.
月は無垢なる輝きを束ね天を望む
くちゃられ
さらば剣栄光の剣壊れずの絶世下野東海道東都長州和州皆語らずの陣破れるものか
And with that, here are my top 10 servants of 2021. With the deepest of apologies to Rhaenys, Asclepius, and Hokusai, who are probably all superior servants in terms of combat. Number 10 is Demon King Nobunaga! I mean, just look at her. The almighty presence, the regal dominance, the fierce, ever-flowing crimson hair, the large, all-consuming cape, the threatening, yet surprisingly useless sword. And of course, the always lovable, yet haughty persona of... Some might brand me a bit of a Nobu simp, but you've got to admit, I've really got to point it... Oh, right, yes, her kit. Much like her archer and berserker counterparts, Demon King Nobunaga is an anti-divine specialist, and has an extremely high base attack as an Avenger. And with the propensity for divine spirits to appear in Fate's Grand Order's story, especially during the Lost Belts, the Demon King can go to town. She buffs her damage with a phenomenal attack buff of up to 70%! Although you have to wait 3 turns post-activation for it to actually reach that number. She can generate critical stars every turn for 3 turns! Which she herself can't really use because of her abysmal star gather rate. And a 20% battery that helps her be self-sustainable. What? Were you expecting something to be wrong with a battery? She is admittedly ever so slightly underpowered, and for many probably wouldn't even scratch the honourable mentions list. But in the right situation, she can be immensely powerful, is almost always fun, and yes, is perhaps my favourite servant of the year, if not necessarily my top one. And better yet, an all-new servant arrives next year to fix so many of these problems. Narrowly beating out Katsushika Hokusai as the top welfare servant of the year, Florence Nightingale is a true Mary Poppins. She really does it all. Wave clearing? Check. Impeccable two-way support? Check. Reinstilling the ever-necessary fear of God and needles in all of us? Very few servants offer the two-way support Nightingale brings to the party. The Assault Medicine Full Burst party, to be precise. She offers high quality critical damage and NP strength support on the offensive end, while defensively she provides healing, a removal of the entire party's latest debuff, and she gets rid of the latest buff from all enemies. In addition to a 3-turn Guts to one servant, which has attached to it an invaluable, targetable buff removal resistance buff. On top of a sublime kit, she thus has versatile strategic potential, not to mention Nightingale's own NP is extremely powerful, and as she is a welfare servant, it is very easy to get it to NP 5. Much like the rest of her kit, her Noble Phantasm also has a defensive element as well, wiping out the enemy team's offensive buffs. Nightingale is a phenomenal servant, and amazingly, a welfare. Yes, she may be terrifying, but don't be too daunted, as deep down she clearly has a good heart, and was indeed a very welcome gift this FGO Christmas. Yet as strong as Nightingale is, there can only be one greatest free-to-play servant in 2021, and that title goes to none other than Chen Gong! There is little to say about Chen Gong that has not already been said, and little I want to say, lest I risk him using me as a projectile as part of his recreational habit of blowing up allies. He is not only a surprisingly powerful wave clearer for a low rarity servant who can even be guided into putting up absurd levels of damage, especially with the arrival of mysterious Caster A. A servant, by the way, he often sacrifices to actually put up said numbers. But he also joins Arash as a rare instance of someone who can change the party composition mid-battle without the need for the Chaldea combat uniform Mystic Code. This ability makes him a tactical linchpin in both boss killing and farming teams alike. Not to mention a wonderful one-turn Berserker Buster crit support. I've talked about Chen Gong at great length this year, and you can find out more by clicking on the card above. But needless to say, Chen Gong was a welcome addition for every master this year, if not, indeed, for any other servant. Perhaps the most underappreciated servant of 2021 is the 4th anniversary servant herself, Leonardo Davinci Rider. She is one of FGO's premier arts loopers, with a ridiculous number of ways to generate NP battery, allowing the Shadow Border to repeatedly mow down its enemies. Yet despite her reasonably high position on this year's list, she would be even higher if released in a year's time, all due to her successor as anniversary servant, Mysterious Caster A, who significantly improves her already extraordinary looping potential. Beyond her looping, Davinci also possesses solid survivability, with a 1-hit evade, 3-turn debuff immunity, and a 3-turn heal, while she helps the team offensively with a small 10% NP battery, which is attached to an NP damage buff, and a rare, one-time NP overcharge buff. Davinci Rider is an exceptional servant who really could have been higher, if only were it not for some of the truly transcendent servants above her. Much like Davinci, the Berserker summer form of Miyamoto Musashi would be significantly higher upon the release of Mysterious Caster A. Already possessing strong damage capabilities and self-looping potential, both of these traits are significantly enhanced post-MCA, allowing Musashi to bring a combination of power and looping perhaps yet to be seen in Chaldea. And now, combining the Rider class ability to use a mount, the Caster class ability to control the elements, with her swords no less, and Berserker levels of damage, no one can hide from Musashi. I mean quite literally, she has ignore invincibility. In the land of Berserkers, there is for now only one king. But in 2022, Miyamoto Musashi will rise and challenge even the gods.
Hi!
The man who spearheaded my JP account through each and every lost belt. Personal gratitude can only partly explain Saber Solth's high placement on this list. He is something of an eccentric, but is equipped with a surprisingly competent two-way kit. His noble phantasm can launch enemies into oblivion. He even has a critical damage niche. Sadly, it increases the star gather rate, not of his quick cards, but rather his solitary Buster card. Yet unlike most Sabers, Astolfo also comes with ridiculous survivability. He has 3 hits of evade over 3 turns, and he can even stun enemies. And a debuff clear, which itself comes with a turn-based NP battery with a further upgrade adding an immediate battery and a star bomb in the future. Astolfo is a surprising powerhouse that can be used to obliterate the opposition, just as he did for me on the JP server. And so this New Year's, I say, thank you, Astolfo! Now we meet the truly elite. It goes without saying, Kama is one of Fate's Grand Order's greatest servants, and may well claim to being the best assassin on the worldwide server. She is an immense damage dealer and premier boss killer, combining overwhelming strength, self-sustainability, and sheer terror into one almighty package. While there are many domineering, damage-centric servants in Fate's Grand Order, few do it on Kama's level or bring the plethora of additional tools she possesses. A 50% battery, a permanent guts, and even a targetable overcharge buff, amongst many others. Make no mistake, Kama is truly exceptional. So why is she only ranked 4th on this list, especially when she is both powerful and deserving to rank up to 2nd? Put simply, she is not as transformative as the 3 servants placed higher than her. Unlike the upcoming trio, Kama was merely exceptional, perhaps even more so than some of them. But what she lacked was any revolutionary concept or idea. Instead, she's simply at the pinnacle of what it means to be a great servant. Few can match her damage, never mind the additional tools that she brings. It's almost incredible that there is a servant so impressive and yet so versatile. And even so, and this is not to discredit her in the slightest, she only ranks 4th on this list. Coming in 1 place ahead of Kama, and giving Rin Faces the tightest of victories in 2021 is Space Ishtar! Space Ishtar is an exceptional wave farmer, much in the same way that Kama is an exceptional single target damage dealer. The main difference being, Space Ishtar was revolutionary. They both had 50% batteries and solid buffs, but what Space Ishtar can do is change the card type of her own noble phantasm. This allows her to function well in Buster, Quick, and Art setups, and even loop rather easily in the latter pair. This is what makes her transcend being merely an exceptional servant, and is why she ranks ahead of Kama for 3rd place on this list. And yet, so exceptional is the class of servants in 2021, that there are still 2 servants above even her. At number 2, we have a servant who is not a critical damage servant. He is the critical damage servant. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Super Orion! That's right. Fate's Grand Order's greatest critical damage servant arrived in Chaldea in 2021, even if he didn't arrive to my Chaldea. Super Orion is an exceptional critical damage servant, even more so against demonic or wild beast enemies. In fact, his crits are so explosive, pairing him with critical damage supports can sometimes feel a tad superfluous. Haven't the enemy suffered enough? He is the epitome of a servant who has chosen to specialize and excel in one particular area. A true master of critical damage. And yet, this is somehow only good enough to be the second best servant of 2021. There could only be one. It was inevitable. At number 1 is the god of Berserkers, Arjuna Alta. Blending an almighty noble phantasm with a potent anti-debuffing niche that he himself can create from nothing, and critical damage that terrorizes the enemy. He is the avatar of effective Fate's Grand Order offense. At the present time, he is untouched by any other Berserker, and despite the talent of the likes of Kama, Space Ishtar, and Super Orion, even they cannot quite match his overall potential as the god of Fate's Grand Order offense, able to pulverize all who dare stand before him. My servant of 2021, Arjuna Alta. Thank you for watching this video and for watching my videos this year. If you enjoyed, please feel free to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave your lists in the comments down below. And may I wish you all a happy, healthy, and gacha lucky 2022.